Good evening from the Driscoll Hotel. This is Election Night Live with Progress Texas, and I'm your host, Charlie Bonner, elections contributor for Progress Texas. Now, this isn't a normal election night show, and I'm not a normal host, okay? I'm going to be your spirit guide of sorts through this acid trip of an evening. There's a lot going on and a lot of races to watch, and we're going to be covering all of them. Tonight, we're going to talk to folks up and down the ballot who are making history. We're going to talk to activists, organizers, analysts, and everyone in between because we have a very long live stream to fill before us. So, we're broadcasting live from the Democratic Party event here at the Driscoll Hotel in Austin, Texas. So if you hear any cheers and jeers going on throughout the evening, that means everything's going according to plan. And now this is a party, and we are going to toast to progress. I suggest you grab a drink. It's going to be one hell of an evening. And the eyes of the nation are on Texas, and for some godforsaken reason, the eyes of Texas are on me tonight. So let's do this thing, because tonight is completely different. For the first time in a generation, we have Democrats running in every single congressional district in this state. For the first time ever, we have more women, more members of the LGBTQIA community, more veterans, and more people of color running than ever. And when they win tonight, we will change the face of power in this state forever. Forever, guys. And so I'm so excited that you're joining us and long for the ride tonight. Now, our team at Progress Texas is working hard in our station right to my left, and they're going to be circling in all night with live updates and an analyst from all over Twitter and Facebook and everything that we're watching. So let's bring one in right now. Tara Pohlmeyer, our producer for this evening. Tara, come on in.
Hi, Charlie.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We can pretend like we haven't been together since 7 a.m.
I know.
It's beautiful. We visited a polling place this morning, and
we did.
It was already at 7:30 this morning.
It was such a long line, and I was so excited. And I just got a text from a friend in Corpus Christi, Texas, who's been in line for an hour and a half, and he's ready to vote. And I am so proud of everyone who has voted thus far, and so excited to see what happens tonight.
And a quick note for our friends watching. If for some reason you're watching this on your phone and you're in line to vote somewhere, please stay in line.
Yes.
Let us entertain you. Please, for the love of God, stay in line.
Your vote is so important, and so it is so crucial that you stay in that line and you get to make your voice heard.
And a special note for those watching in the Houston area, some of those polls are going to be staying open until 8 p.m. tonight. Yes,
those polls did not open on time this morning, and so a few of our partner organizations decided to, I think they filed
litigation this morning.
They filed some litigation, and so those polls will remain open until 8 p.m.
Yeah, so you still have time to vote. That means if you're in line by 8 p.m. in those areas, you will be allowed to vote.
But so for the rest of Texas, it's 7
p.m. That's
which
right.
was right now. So hopefully you're in line.
Enjoy. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
So Tara, the reason I wanted you to bring you on, I want to set the scene. I want to set the scene for us tonight. The number one race we're watching, we're going to talk about so many tonight, but all eyes are on Texas tonight because of Beto O'Rourke.
Yes, we are so excited. I think the eyes of the nation, maybe even the world, are upon Texas and this specific race. And here at Progress Texas, we've been working on Humans Against Ted Cruz, which I see you're donning this evening.
Yes. The award-winning campaign.
The award-winning campaign. So this has been near and dear to our hearts for a very long time, and we're very much looking forward to retiring our Humans Against Ted Cruz program at the end of the night.
The only award that matters for this campaign is Ted Cruz losing this election tonight.
That would be just in
so
my heart.
What are we seeing in this race, though? What is happening? Where are we watching things?
We're seeing a lot of people turn out. I think that's the most crucial thing, is we're seeing presidential year turnout numbers here across the state. And so I think right now, as of a few moments ago, we're at 8.2 million. Is that correct?
That's what we're projecting for the total this evening.
Okay.
We're going to watch those results come in. We'll let you know. But we are projecting more than 8 million people will vote in Texas tonight, which is giving me chills.
Amazing. That's amazing. and so many of those people for the first time ever. And something that you've told me a lot is actually once a person votes for that first time, they are more likely to vote a second and a third time. So not only are we voting in this election, but these people are going to keep voting. This is like
voting is habitual.
The future. Yes.
Voting is habitual. And the most important thing that we can do is create healthy civic life and create a lifelong habit of voting for people. And that starts with first-time voters in this election. And so we're so excited that this goes way beyond just tonight. This expands for years.
So true. And that's not just with voting either. These are people that are activists for the first time ever. These are people that have put a yard sign in their yard for the first time ever. And that will only continue. Beto O'Rourke is an amazing candidate, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what happens tonight.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on down the ballot. We have a lot of incredible congressional races going on this evening.
Yes.
We need to pick up 23 seats this evening in Congress to take control of Congress.
That's across the U.S.
Across the U.S.
Yes.
And we're projecting here at Progress that as many as 7 of those races could be picked up right here in Texas.
That's why Texas is so important when we talk about these national elections. Texas plays such a large role, and yet we're the lowest on voter turnout. So I'm so excited to see that that's finally changing.
Yeah, absolutely. So which of those congressional races are we watching tonight?
Some of the ones that I'm most excited for are like Gina Ortiz-Jones in the San Antonio area.
Who's incredible.
Amazing candidate. She's running against Will Hurd.
Yes.
And her district is so large. You told me earlier it's one of the most gerrymandered districts in the state.
Yeah, it actually spans 500 miles from end to end, going from the San Antonio area and covering most of the border, which is
large.
A disgustingly large area to cover.
We're also looking at Julie Oliver here in the Central Texas area, who's near and dear to our hearts. We both live in Julie Oliver's district.
I was so proud to cast my vote for Julie Oliver 2 weeks ago, the first day of early voting.
She cares so much about her constituents. Her story is amazing. I think we're going to take a look at her story a little bit later in the broadcast.
We'll be watching her ad later in the evening.
Yes. Other candidates we're excited about are MJ Hagar in the Williamson County area.
Definitely a county to watch this evening. We are thinking that Williamson County could make the whole difference in this state. It's really one of the bellwether areas we're watching. Donald Trump won that area by only 1 point. A traditional conservative stronghold, and he only won it by 1 point. And we think we are really going to see some action there this evening.
That's so exciting. Others, we're very excited about Colin Allred up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Former lawyer, worked in the HUD department with Secretary Castro, and also a former football player.
Amazing.
Good plug. I also want to say a special shout out to the Joseph Kopser campaign, a race that I've been following for a long, long time now. That's House District 21. And I think we could really turn that district tonight. Held by Lamar Smith, who retired this year, I think out of fear by being beat by Joseph Kopser. And he's running against Chip Roy, who is being lauded as a worse version of Ted Cruz, which I personally did not know existed.
I didn't know either, but you told me earlier Chip Roy used to work with Ted Cruz.
He did it. Chip Roy was Ted Cruz's chief of staff and was the architect of the government shutdown over Obamacare. If you'll remember that infamous green eggs and ham bullshit activity that Ted Cruz did, Chip Roy found those children's books. To Chip. So, I also want to talk about Sri Preston Kulkarni down in the Fort Bend County area, just south of Houston. This man knows 13 languages, and he's been campaigning in each and every one of them. Yes. Something really incredible that they're doing there. They're calling it micro-targeting, something that we've never seen before, where they're looking at these communities that change block to block. You know, communities that live together, speak the same language, and make sure that they're talking to those voters in their traditional language, something that we've never done before.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these voters have never talked to a politician before. They've never had someone knock on their door, leave a piece of mail, something that we take for granted, I think, when we're getting 1,000 texts from the Beto campaign, you know. But there are many people who want to be reached out by these campaigns, and they haven't been before. And that race is changing how we do that.
It really is. And to have someone who can speak your language as a constituent and as a representative, that's absolutely fantastic. And so I'm so excited to see what happens with his campaign. And I think that's one of the other counties that we'll be watching throughout the night.
Yeah. I also want to highlight a couple of the state Senate districts that we're looking at. One that I'm particularly interested in winning back today, State Senate District 10.
Okay.
That used to be Wendy Davis's district.
So cool. So
Our
up
friend,
in the Dallas area.
she'll be on the show later this evening, so make sure you're staying tuned for that. But that's currently held by Connie Burton, who is not great on our issues. I think would be the nice way of saying that.
Okay.
When she took over Wendy Davis's seat, she started her first day at the Capitol in custom pro-life cowboy boots,
Wow.
which I hear is all the fashion these days. But she's running against Democrat Beverly Powell, who we are seeing great things from and is getting a lot of strong support. So we're definitely going to have our eyes on that this evening. And then let's look at some state house races. What are we watching in the way of state house?
We're seeing a lot across the state of really exciting candidates, including Vicki Goodwin.
Right down in this kind of lower Austin area. One of the only parts of the Austin coalition there that's held by a Republican, and it should not be.
Yes.
It should not be.
Especially in the Austin area, but in Texas too, if we're being honest. James Tallarico up in Williamson County. We did some door knocking for him earlier this election cycle, and so we're really excited for his campaign.
Yeah.
And you were saying the other day he was within 80 votes of that seat.
Yeah, we were projecting from some of the early vote returns that election is going to be decided by single digits. We think, and again, that's in that Williamson County area with MJ Hagar, and so we're going to be watching that all night. James is an incredible candidate, a former teacher who started an education nonprofit to help the local area and work on focusing on bipartisan solutions to get technology and innovation into our schools. And he's been doing some really incredible work there. He's a good friend of mine, and I am very excited that he chose to run this year. And so we are really looking forward to his race this evening. What else are we watching? Who else is making history tonight? What are we watching?
Well, I do want to hear from our listeners. If there's somebody in your district that you're so excited about, especially at the state level, please let us know in the comments below, and we'll hopefully pull some numbers for that and figure out, how you're doing in that district.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we're seeing where things are happening in your area. We do have a quick update. I'm seeing on our Slack, we have some updates from Dallas County early vote. We're up double Cruz, 66 to 33 in Dallas County early voting, which is unprecedented, honestly.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic. I love this update.
That's an amazing update.
And so that's going to be really interesting because that is where that Colin Allred district is that we were just talking about, and several of our competitive state Senate districts. So we want to make sure, wow, I'm super excited about that.
That is so cool. And I think around that Dallas County area, we've seen so much growth. We've talked about a lot as an organization, like different companies moving in, especially even like from across the nation into the Dallas area.
Yeah, that Dallas area, and especially over in Collin County, kind of over to
like
there
Plano,
where
McKinney,
Plano
Frisco.
is, which is really what I've been describing as kind of the antithesis of gerrymandering. They tried to gerrymander all these people out of these districts, but these city centers are becoming so large that people are
expensive
to live in.
Yeah.
So we have the Collin counties, the Williamson counties, the areas sort of outside of San Antonio that are getting filled up with young people who vote blue.
And who are maybe like starting their families or just looking for a more affordable, hip, maybe like a place nearby their job, place to live,
And they're going to be the key in so many of these areas. They're going to be absolutely crucial as we keep watching this.
Yes, and on that, we talk about how not only millennials in this election, but also Gen X have the opportunity to really flip the state of Texas. And going forward from this election, too, just like talking about future, that those generations together have the opportunity to actually make the decisions for the state.
Yes. I think you're absolutely right. And I don't want to cut you off, but I think we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with more coverage here from the Driscoll.
Thank you.
I call him Lion Ted. He's Lion Ted. And, that's his name. Now I know why he doesn't have one endorsement from any of his colleagues.
All right, John, I get to respond.
Pick from the buffet there.
He's a nasty guy. This guy is sick. There's something wrong with this guy. I don't think Cruz deals well with pressure. I think he's a basket case. Lion Ted Cruz. I call him. I nicknamed him Lion. I say lion. How would you spell that? L-Y-E-N. Lion. With a big apostrophe. But you don't have one Republican senator backing you, not one. You don't have the endorsement of one Republican senator, and you work with these people.
Senator Cruz.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
It's a matter of principle, and I'll tell you.
You are the single biggest liar. You probably are worse than Jeb Bush. You are the single biggest liar.
All right.
This guy lied. Let me just
His
say.
father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald being, shot. I mean, the whole thing is
Donald, relax.
Go ahead. I'm relaxed. You're the basket case. Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't get nervous. Go ahead.
My name
promise you, Donald, there's
is
nothing about you that makes anyone nervous.
You're losing
people
so
are actually
badly.
watching this at
You don't
home.
know what's happening.
After saying that you were going to spill the beans about Heidi Cruz, you retweeted an unflattering picture of her next to a picture of your wife.
I didn't start it.
Okay,
I didn't start it.
I don't get angry often. But you mess with my wife, you mess with my kids, that'll do it every time. Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell alone.
So will you support him as the nominee?
Hi, this is Ted Cruz calling. I was calling to encourage you to come out and vote on Election Day. This election is critical for the direction of our country.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. I want to welcome on our friend Tariq, who's the communications director for the Texas Democratic Party. Congratulations on getting this far.
Thank you. I know. It
Congratulations.
feels good to be here.
So how long have you been with the Texas Democratic Party?
So I've been with the Texas Democratic Party. I started in the 2014 cycle.
Okay.
I came on right after the Wendy Davis filibuster. I did that cycle. And I was on the digital team, and then I transitioned into do communications in 2016.
Yeah.
And then I've been there ever since. Yeah.
Interesting. So, that's two great cycles that we kind of have. Well,
yeah.
Plus the third one in the middle that didn't go so hot
Right.
in 2016. What are you seeing as the differences?
Yeah.
What's changing in those years as far as communications go?
Yeah. So there's a few things that I feel like have changed, and especially from 2016. And while, a lot of people, I feel like in 2016 with the results kind of threw up their hands in despair, we rolled up our sleeves because we had, for the first time, a single-digit presidential margin, which hasn't happened in decades. And we used that momentum to recruit in 2018 the most amount of candidates, most amount of women, lots of veterans, lots of people of color. Arguably, the folks that had the most to lose stepped up to run this year. Yeah. And I think that what's really incredible and what's resonating with a lot of people is there are a few things at play here which are making tonight kind of unfold in a really great way. And that's one, we filled the ballot, and we've recruited someone to run for Congress in every district in Texas.
And in a state this big, it can't be understated how hard that is.
It's so hard. 20 plus media markets. We're twice the size of Germany. We have a population of 25 plus million people. It is incredible that we're able to even compete at the level that we're competing in right now. And you know what? Coupled with the fact that for a long time there was Democrats in Texas that didn't have someone to vote for, and the fact that we can now channel all that energy because of these incredible folks running for Congress. It's hold on, let me get here. It's right here.
You're good.
Okay. All right. Sweet. This is better.
There's Britney Spears mics.
These are the Britney Spears mics. I'll do my toxic video impression soon. So and then I think it's the candidates, it's how competitive these races are, and then I think it's this moment. I mean, we've had a terrible few weeks with, the shooting in Pennsylvania, with the package bombs, and when in these perilous times, a president is supposed to unite us together. We've seen Donald Trump spew more divisive rhetoric, more things out there, and so I think that all of these are coming together right now, and people it's showing up in force in these early voting numbers.
I think that divisiveness is something that's been
right.
It's really hurt. It hurts to someone who cares about these things to watch that. But one of the things that I loved is just walking around and looking at polling places today and seeing people practicing their civic duty. That the divisiveness was not enough to keep them from going and standing in that line.
Right.
And staying in that line, if you're still in that line, please.
I totally, if you're still in line and if you've been there before 7, please stay and vote. And what you're saying is really important, because I was just talking about this with my wife the other day. It was like, there's so many, at this point, there's so many more distractions available to us where people aren't taking that civic responsibility seriously enough. And I feel like, in 2014 was a historically low year in voter turnout. And now I think 2016, like you mentioned, was a pretty heartfelt moment for a lot of people that woke up that next day. And I think we've seen people realize that if they're not at the table, that they're on the menu, and they need to suit up and play the game right now.
It's interesting to think, I wonder if you've had the same situation as me, talking about the 2016 election. Everyone has a story about where they were that night. And we talk about it in terms of the way we talk about national tragedies, remembering where you were when something happened and something changed in you, and that we've seen how that's turned in people. And it's made a difference.
It has.
And you've seen that as well?
I've totally seen that. I remember that night, a coworker of mine turned to me and said, well, sometimes things have to burn before they get better. And I feel like in 2016 we did a lot of soul searching afterwards, and we kind of found ourselves and renewed our commitment. And as Democrats,
I think that's a great. I want to talk about that, renewing our commitment, because I think that the one thing that I want to emphasize tonight is that this is not over. This could go extremely well from us, and we have to remake that commitment every day.
Every day. Every day. It's not this type of civic responsibility that we're talking about isn't something that we just do 2 weeks before an election. It's something that we constantly need to be paying attention to. And it's something that, we all need to realize that the more people that participate, I've always said that if Texas voted what it looks like, Democrats would win.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time, everywhere.
And in the fastest growing, majority minority, a young state, there's no reason for us to not get in the game and vote these people out.
So what are we seeing? Do we have any updates from our war room? What are we seeing? We are just starting to get those early votes.
So I had to step out.
Early.
But what I was seeing was Dallas County looks to be incredibly encouraging numbers. We're seeing 10 points or above spreading out.
We're hearing some cheers as Texas is going up on the TV in a lot of places. Some great returns coming out in the early voting numbers with Beto O'Rourke. He's in the lead right now. Super early, so everyone chill out. But it's good to be excited right now. I feel very good.
And an important part about Beto, tonight, two things that are kind of working against us. Harris County, which I'm sure you'll talk about later.
We're going to be up late watching those Harris County
They're going to be up
returns.
Late. And Harris County and also El Paso, because of the time difference, goes to show you how big this state is, right?
This mammoth state. People are still voting everywhere.
We've got a 2-hour time difference, so a lot of these numbers are going to come in later on tonight. Or I'd assume around 9 or 10.
And we'll be here. Still drinking. Live on the air. Maybe not you. You got to talk to some people.
I got to talk.
I'm just talking to my friends here, so it's totally cool. It's no big deal. But moving next, what's next for the party? What when we wake up tomorrow and we remake that commitment to democracy?
Well, let me get through tonight first.
That's
then,
fair.
And then,
that's
and
fair.
then
I'll
after
give you
that, but no, honestly, the road to 2020 and taking back the Texas House starts right after there.
Yes.
And I think that,
Yes.
there's...
Texas is going to be crucial.
It's going to be crucial. And there's... And like what we were saying before is this momentum has to continue, and I think that what a lot of people, and credit to Beto and Texas Democrats up and down the ballot, a big focus for us at the party is building the permanent infrastructure necessary to win, not just in presidential years, but cycle to cycle, right?
Yep.
We want to establish a constant presence. We want to make sure that we're also running progressive folks in city council races and municipal elections all across the state, because Republicans figured that out a long time ago. And we are slow to catch up on.
Terrible people for dog catcher
Exactly.
a long time ago.
Exactly. And I think that, we had a slow start to that, and I think that we're playing catch up on that municipal level right now. But you're starting to see, especially in the big urban centers, all Democratic mayors run by Democratic and progressive city councils. And I think that is fundamentally a good thing, because that narrative of Texas is changing from, we're riding our horses to school, which is what other people think, to urban centers.
Did you not ride your horses?
I did not.
Did you not
Yeah,
ride your horses
I
to the
know.
hotel?
And now I can't even say I rode scooters to school. It's like, but that's the thing is like, Texas is Austin, Texas is Dallas, Texas is all these folks. So it's great.
And I think the thing, I love thinking about the municipal races.
Yeah.
Because what we've seen is progressive mayors leading the resistance against Trump.
Right.
Especially here in Austin and Houston and Dallas. We look at things like the climate accord and all these sorts of different things. They're picking up where our federal government is failing us.
Exactly, and leave it to the mayors to be the ones to do that. I mean, they're the ones that, are getting the phone calls about everything from, defending against incredibly racist Senate bills like SB 4 to also just fixing potholes on the street. And I think that's kind of the, it's just incredible to see that, and everyone from Sylvester Turner in Houston stepping up to, Mike Rawlings in Dallas and our wonderful mayor right now, Steve Adler, who's facing a re-election. So I think that those mayors have definitely, like what you said, picked up where the federal government has kind of failed.
And they're absolutely going to be the future, and I think that's a good place to leave off.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a great evening for you, so hopefully we'll hear from you again
Fingers
soon.
crossed, yeah. Thank you for having me.
We're going to take another quick break.
Absolutely.
We're going to go grab a drink real quick. You should too, and we'll be back in just a minute.
When I got elected ag commissioner, guess what? They don't send you to judge school or sheriff school or constable school. They just hand you the keys. This is a $6 billion agency. Good luck. So the first 30 days, I went to scheduled a trip to Oklahoma to meet with the Secretary of Agriculture up there, Jim Reese. Well, that was at the state expense. We got up there, and I had a problem at the airport, and it was mixed up on the car, and I was an hour late and missed the appointment, and he had to leave town. So I didn't get to make my appointment. So we stayed around there and met with some legislators that they weren't on the schedule. Only thing on the schedule was to meet with the secretary. I returned, and before anyone filed a complaint, before there's any media story, I reimbursed the state for that. Now, there's a group called Progress Texas. It's part of George Soros's group. Made big headlines out of that, and filed a complaint with the Texas Rangers, Rosemary Lindbergh, the Travis County DA.
Alrighty, y'all. Welcome back to our live coverage from the Driscoll Hotel. I'm joined here with Johnson Simmons, a field organizer for Move Texas, who's been doing some incredible work this election cycle. We want to make sure that we're talking to not only our candidates this evening, but the people who are doing the hard work of democracy and organizing. So thank you for your work. Thank you for being here. Can you first tell our friends what Move Texas is?
So Move Texas is a nonprofit, nonpartisan grassroots organization dedicated to building empowerment in underrepresented youth communities through civic education, leadership development, and issue advocacy. So that's like the mission statement for Move.
What's the day-to-day for you?
In a sense, it's just getting people registered to vote and then making sure that those people who are registered are actually turning out to vote.
Yeah.
So I can't take all the credit for that.
Please
obviously.
do. You're the only one here. Please, by all means.
It's definitely the hard work that our team does. Our field fellows, our interns, they're the ones that go out to the campuses, actually talk to the young the students, get them registered to vote, and then just having conversations with them, telling them why it's important to go out and vote.
It's amazing how powerful just talking to a group of people can be to get them motivated to turn out to vote. Because far too often politicians aren't talking to young people.
Well, that's one of the things that I really appreciate about what's happening this election cycle is that you finally have candidates who are actually going out and having conversations with young people, focusing on issues that students can relate to and that matter to students and young people. Get them excited about actually going out and voting, because no one really gets excited about registering and voting. It's paying taxes.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, I get excited about going to vote.
I love registering to vote.
I'm a civic nerd, so I love the whole voting thing. But the average college student, they don't really care about this stuff. They have other things to worry about, paying their bills, focusing on their classes and stuff.
Yeah.
So if you can go out and relate to students, focus on the issues that they'll care about, then of course they're going to turn out.
Yeah. And what issues are you hearing from students that they're really concerned about?
Healthcare. That's probably the biggest one.
Yes. We're seeing the exit polls tonight from earlier this evening that healthcare has been the #1 issue for Democrats and liberal people who are voting Democrat. Maybe they don't identify that way always, but they're voting Democrat this evening. The second being gun control.
Yeah, gun control,
really interesting.
and then affordable housing, here in Austin.
Yes.
Students really care about finding a place to live. If you go to the University of Texas, off campus, those apartments are so expensive. Students can't afford that realistically. Paying for a high-end education, going to UT, and then having to afford a place to live that's close to campus where they can walk to or commute to easily. It's hard to find here in the city of Austin. So politicians who've been able to focus on those issues, of course students are going to vote for them.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And the thing that I always say when I'm turning out students and talking to young voters is you have to show up for the candidates who are going to show up for you. The people that show up on college campuses, the people that are talking about student loan forgiveness, that are talking about affordable housing for young people. It's easy to know where people stand on these issues, and we have to show up for the people that show up for us. It's just that simple.
Exactly.
It's just that simple. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I think, Tara, if you want to get him unmiked, we're going to bring on my friend Mark from Progress Texas. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on here.
We love Move Texas. Make sure you're following all of Move Texas's work. On Twitter, they're Move_Texas. So if you wanna...
we have an Instagram, Move Texas. We have Facebook. Follow us, y'all.
Follow us. They're doing incredible work. And I'm going to have you tap out with the Mark right here. Mark is from our Progress Texas team, and he's going to be bringing us a numbers update. We're seeing a lot of really interesting things. Even in these very early returns, we're seeing a lot of interesting numbers. And while we wait, I do want to plug that Progress Texas is a nonprofit. If you like what you see here, you like people paying for my espresso martinis, that's probably the least productive thing we do, but I think it's very good. You can donate along tonight at progresstexas.org/donate. We'd like to thank you live on the air, so we'll be reading those throughout the night. Basically a telethon for democracy. We love to have you on. And we're going to bring Mark on right now, just as soon as he gets mic'd. A great time to take a sip of your drink, as I will now. Thank you. Don't worry, I killed time by drinking. It's totally fine. Same old me stuff. Okay, Mark. Mark is going to be our numbers guy throughout the night, bringing us all the updates. Mark, why are people still cheering in this room? What is going on?
It's going to be a very good night for Democrats, period. It's going to be an excellent night for Democrats across the state. People were wondering about the wave. The wave is coming ashore right now. The numbers that we're seeing in Dallas County are astronomical.
Yeah, and Dallas County was one of the real bellwether counties that we were looking at tonight. If we could really push turnout in Dallas County, it bodes well for Democrats across the state.
Yeah, and mostly I've been looking at the state house races right now. Those are the numbers that we're getting in. You know, the early vote numbers are really affecting those races a lot. Democrats are up in 11 races already. We don't have any numbers from Harris County yet.
We won't have numbers from Harris County for a while.
We're just talking about Dallas, Austin area, really. We're talking about 11 races. HD 47, 52, 65, 66, 102, 105, 108, 113, 114, 115, 136.
That is so many.
Democrats are winning in all those races.
Wow.
The biggest news that I think everyone here is getting, it's starting to seep through the crowd, everyone's getting very excited about, is the Beto numbers.
Yeah.
Hard to tell what they mean yet. He is in this race.
Yes.
I can't sit here and tell you, yes, he's going to win or not. He is in this race. It is going to be extremely close, and it is going to go late. The reason we know this, Tarrant County.
We've been talking about Tarrant County a lot at Progress Texas.
The early vote at Tarrant County is within 1%. No Democrat has ever done anything like that in recent memory. That is considered a bellwether for the state.
Tarrant County is 1%.
Is 1%, within
for,
1%.
For reference, Tarrant County is the largest metropolitan area in the country that is solidly conservative.
Correct.
It is looked at as a complete bellwether for the state because it matches the demography of the state, the mass of the state, the population, but votes consistently conservative. If we are making it close in Tarrant County, that changes the game.
Yep. And then you're seeing that trickle down all the statewide.
Yes.
Pretty much every statewide race is pretty close right now. We'll know a lot in the next couple of hours.
Yeah.
Harris County, we won't probably know any early vote numbers for a while.
We're getting some more updates from the party here.
Beto is still up.
Beto is still up. It looks like he is at 57%, I think, right now. These glasses are basically useless.
I think it's 52.
I cannot see that.
I think that's 52. Where we're seeing incredible growth, though, for Democrats as well is in the suburbs of Austin. Hays, Williamson County, blowing out for Democrats right now. Those are usually, or have been, moderately Republican. We're now seeing them just trend, blow out Democrat areas in comparison to how they've been before. I believe Beto got 57% of the vote in Hays County and 51% in Williamson County.
My God.
66% in Dallas County, Beto got to 33% for Cruz. So Beto is outperforming everywhere.
Everyone.
It's exciting. It's very exciting. These numbers are very good. Everyone on Twitter is basically
losing their minds.
We don't know how many seats Democrats are going to win, but Democrats are going to win seats.
Yeah.
The Texas House is going to be radically different next year. And when I jump back on in probably about 45 minutes, we'll have some races that are probably called by then, and we'll really begin celebrating. But it's pretty exciting.
Oh, wow. Some big returns coming in for Beto right now. These numbers are just absurd right now.
Showing his numbers.
Please excuse the massive outcries from our cast, the people in the background here. Now, what are we, we've talked about Williamson County. My heart is there this evening. What are we seeing there? I know you touched on it briefly, but do we have any specific things?
You got that race you love.
I love James Tallarico so much, and I won't stop talking about it. I don't
He's running for House in the Round Rock area.
Yeah.
Let me pull up his numbers real quick. It is good news for you. Don't you worry. He was up by 5 points in early vote.
Wow.
So he's looking good.
5 points.
Yep.
Let me tell you,
from
what I was hearing,
Vicky Goodwin also a Southwest Austin suburb candidate for the House, up 8 points.
Both of those races, their own internals did not have them up that much in early vote. So that changes the game completely in the calculations of those races.
Oh, I mean, when I'm going through here,
we're going to pick up some races. As someone who has worked in the Texas legislature, God bless what is about to happen. We need these new faces. We need this new blood. I'm so excited. We're not calling anything yet, but things feel really good right now.
Yeah, I'm super excited about Houston.
Yeah.
We'll see what those numbers are in Houston, but we could really make some even bigger gains in Houston.
Yeah.
And that's where we'll find out more about Beto and the statewide slate. But right now, the numbers for the House, the Texas House, look incredible.
Wow. We didn't think we would have any good news. And no, the thing about the numbers is normally it's the rural communities that report first. These small precincts, that's where it's very easy to count the ballots in these areas. So those are who generally report first. And save Harris County for later, these major metropolitan areas generally do take a little bit longer. So that bodes well for the rest of the night, that we're going to keep seeing returns from these larger areas. That should only go in our favor optimistically right now. Okay. That's our numbers report for right now.
We'll be back with some actual hard numbers in a little bit. Right now, it's all early vote.
It's all just this really good feeling I have.
There's a reason to be optimistic, honestly, and there's a reason to stay up late tonight. We're not going to know some of these races until late at night. So
stay tuned, my friends. We're going to be right back, and then we're going to be joined with our friends from Battleground Texas. So stay tuned. All right, welcome back, welcome back. I'm now joined by my old friend, Oscar, who's the Executive Director of Battleground Texas. Oscar, thank you so much for being here. It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you finally, right?
I know, we're emailing all the time, but we never get to see each other until there's parties. So it's good to see you, it's good to see you. Now, Battleground has been doing some absolutely incredible work this cycle.
Thank you.
So I want you to tell me a little bit about, just tell the folks what Battleground is, first of all, and what are we seeing on your end? What kind of work have y'all been doing this cycle?
Absolutely. Well, Charlie, some folks might be familiar, but for those of you who aren't, Battleground Texas is a grassroots organization that works to turn Texas into a battleground state, and we always like to say by treating it like one. That means from recruiting volunteers,
a novel idea,
a novel idea. And what do you know? Texas is a battleground. And a lot of the work that we've been doing this year is around voter registration.
Yeah.
We've been launching all of our volunteers, our staff, our troops out into high schools, colleges, communities, and registering voters to get them ready for this election cycle.
Yeah. And now this is not an easy state to register voters in.
It's not.
I'm a volunteer deputy registrar myself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Like to do my part.
How many counties?
Only one. Okay, don't call me out like that. You do have to be registered in every county and trained in every county that you want to register voters in, which is something that is very unusual. We're the only state that really requires that level of training and professionalism from volunteers, absolute volunteers. But we've also seen that those volunteers are who are making the difference in this election.
Yes.
So how are y'all getting around these? It's tough. It's very tough. How do you fight back against that?
You know what, Charlie? I keep saying, they built all these walls that have only trained us to sprint, jump, and even fly. And it's ridiculous. Texas does criminalize voter registration. It does put our
If I leave a form with someone, I am criminally liable.
Yes.
Just a blank form, just a blank piece of paper with someone.
Yes, it's attached to felonies, essentially.
I don't want to go down like this, Oscar.
I'm
too pretty for prison.
Yes, you are.
I was fishing for a compliment.
You don't need to fish. But no, absolutely, it's very hard. So I am absolutely proud of our volunteers not just folks who have volunteered at Battleground Texas, but folks who are registering voters all across the state, because that means that they went to a training often scheduled at an inconvenient time, a weekday during working hours, to go get deputized. Some counties even require testing so you can get your certificate, and you're only deputized in that one county. We have volunteers and staff members they're actually competing. 14 counties, I think, is the one I've seen the most.
Wow.
14 counties.
That's bonkers.
Yes.
It's incredibly difficult to do.
It is. But you know what? Face-to-face, in-person voter registration is the most effective way to register voters. Research continues to show that entities who register a voter often win that vote.
Yes.
Even if the voter registration is nonpartisan, as it should be. Those entities win that vote. So it's important that we do that. And through our volunteers and our staff, this year alone, we've registered a little bit more than 55,000 voters.
55,000.
Totaling over 171,000 for the whole state since we launched Battleground Texas.
Wow.
Yes, very proud.
That, as we're talking about just progress this evening, the theme of our organization, but more broadly this evening, that is progress.
It is.
That's what changes the face of power in a state like Texas. It's young people turning other young people out, first-time voters for the very first time.
I'm really glad that you say that, because when we break down our numbers, I always talk about intentionality, being intentional about your efforts and how you do things. So we started registering voters. This cycle, we've really focused on expanding the electorate in a way that reflects the diversity of the state. So, for example, over 82% of our voters are young voters this cycle that we registered. When you compare that to the margin in Texas electorate, it's 12%. Totally unfair. So Texas as a state has only 12% of their youth registered. So we expanded those efforts in our organization. We're able to hit 82% of our entire universe registered.
And that number, we're looking at just during early voting, we were seeing more than 500% increases in young youth, less than 30 voters, right?
Yes, in fact, on Friday, so early voters, first-time voters during early vote outnumbered any number of first-time voters anywhere in the country. But most excitingly, in Texas, first-time voters under the age of 30 was a larger number than any first-time voter in any other state, including California.
Wow. Wow.
So
that's harnessing power.
It is.
So we're talking. That's on one hand we have the changing the face of power. That's people finally finding their power.
It is.
And people have to listen to you when you vote like that.
Exactly.
One of the things that I get most frustrated about when a lot of our shared work about turning out young voters is talking to politicians and say, why aren't you talking about this? Why aren't you talking about the issues facing young people? Why aren't you visiting college campuses doing this? And say, oh, they don't vote. They don't vote. They say, oh, our expensive consultants, they say, we can't spend time talking to people who don't vote. Well, guess what? Young people are voting now, and it's time to start listening.
Yes.
And we have a list of demands.
Yes, absolutely. And just a few years ago, I don't know if you remember, registering voters was not a part of the strategy.
Yeah.
It was too expensive, too hard, too unreliable, which is why I personally, as a Texan, as a first-generation Mexican-American, as somebody who I feel was enfranchised way too late. I had a college degree from a private university before I cast my first vote, Charlie.
Wow.
I was not registered to vote, and I was not voting. And why I'm such an advocate for voter registration as a strategy to win in Texas, not just because it is a winning strategy, but because it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
It's unfair that the same folks who have been voting 20, 30 years ago are the only ones voting today. That's not okay.
Yeah. It's not. I always think that too. People are like, oh, you want to do this because you want to win. And I'm like, no, this is the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do.
I personally believe that every single person who has the ability to vote should. And if I can play a small part in that, registering that voter, that's my obligation as an American and as a citizen. So to see your organization put that into play is amazing.
Yes. Thank you. And the electorate reflects our leadership. You know, it's not just the other way around. I mean, you look at the Texas House, and over 80% of them are men, when over 50% of the population of Texas are women.
Yes.
But you know what? This year, women have been turning out at higher numbers in every single county that we're following. So something's going to happen
And with
there.
more women on the ballot than ever, we know this is going to change tonight.
Yes.
It's absolutely going to change.
I believe
so we put tonight in a box if we can. We move past it. What's next for Battleground? Where do we go from here?
You know, the future is bright because we already won. We already won. Texas, right before sitting down here with you, I took a picture of one of the screens out there because it's finally Texas has that Battleground banner on it. We are a state where
good promo for y'all. Thanks, CNN.
Well, you know what? Yes. You know, Texas is finally a place where at the national level, if politicians want to compete, they have to come to Texas and they have to convince Texans. They have to talk to us. So building upon that, you know, both our Senate run with Beto and just this amazing slate of candidates up and down the ballot have brought so much energy, but energy is nothing without action. But we finally have an infrastructure that's catching that surge in energy to materialize it into next steps, into action, into comprehensible steps. Go get deputized, go register voters. Let's organize your communities. Session's coming up. It's going to be a tough one.
Yes, it is.
What are we going to do around that? So for Battleground, those are some of the next steps. Harness the energy, harness the knowledge, institutional knowledge, harness the relationships in the community that we have to just build on them. Register more voters, train more volunteers, get out more people.
Now, are there any races that you're exceptionally excited about?
Yes,
we're all excited about Beto.
Of course.
We're on Beto Mania watch right now.
I know.
But who else are you watching tonight that you're excited about for the future of Texas?
Let me start this way. I'm very excited about the 10 races that we endorsed. All women, most of them are women of color across the states. We endorsed 10 women. Right before I came here, I didn't have the Houston numbers yet, but in Dallas, all 5 of them.
Does.
I know, right?
Nobody does.
In Dallas, all 5 of them were up. And all except for one are flip districts. We are flipping these districts. We have Retta Powers, we have Julie Johnson, Terry Mesa, Ana Maria Ramos, Victoria Neave is the incumbent that we're with as well. And they are all looking great. I'm excited about those. I'm also excited about the fact that Texas is sending its first 2 Latinas to Congress.
Yes.
Sylvia Garcia.
Incredible women.
Yes,
Incredible
exactly.
Women.
Sylvia Garcia and Veronica Escobar. At least them 2, you know?
Yes.
And I'm just so excited.
And that's the El Paso race
El Paso
and
Houston,
right?
Yes. And so I'm just so excited that, you know, and I'm going to be very personal here. People who sound and look like me are going to places to represent me and my family.
Yes.
My aunt, one of my oldest aunts, just became a citizen a week ago. And
congratulations.
Thank you.
If you're walking.
Sure she is. She had such a hard time voting today because of the whole specific match of the name. And I spent like an hour calling there. But she got to vote. And she said, you know what? I never knew that I was going to go vote in a ballot with names that I could pronounce. Names that I've seen. Hispanic last names. Women. And she was so proud. And that was not the case just a few years back, and I'm so proud of that. And I think that Texas is in a much better place because of that.
Yeah. Regardless of what happens tonight, that's the victory tonight.
That is. That really is.
People have a state that they can have stock in, that looks like them, that reflects their values, that talks like them.
Yeah.
That's the whole game.
Exactly.
Oscar, thank you so much for
Charlie,
joining us.
thank
it's
you.
It's always so good to see you.
You
have a
too.
good election night.
You too.
We're having a good time. We're having a good time.
It's great
Are we
to
going to
be
go to
here.
a quick
Thank you.
break, or should we do a social report? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with a report on what's happening on social media right after this. Stay tuned. All righty, welcome back, welcome back. We're now joined by my good friend, Justin Nelson, who is the Democratic candidate for Attorney General this evening. It's so good to see you.
Nice to see you.
It's so good to see you. How have things been out on the campaign trail? It's been a long cycle. How have things been?
It's been great. The energy is amazing.
Yeah.
Win or lose tonight, we are really trying to help define what Texas will be for the next generation. And I think that the energy that you're seeing in these campaigns are really tremendous.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a lot of pickups really across. You can see it in the state house seats already.
Yes. We are seeing so many state house races, especially in Dallas.
Yeah.
Which really bodes well for the whole ticket for your race, these crazy numbers that we're seeing. So, why did you decide to run for Attorney General? It's not necessarily the sexiest position, people talk about, but I think it's so critically important. And what made you want to run for that position?
Well, first of all, I'm a real lawyer.
You love to see
and
that.
I think that it's time for a real lawyer in this position.
Yeah.
And number two, no one else is stepping up to do this.
Yeah.
No one at all. And I thought that it's time to stop looking for someone else to raise your hand, and we should do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm doing it.
And we are very thankful that you have. And now, a lot of this race, I think you mentioned it, a real lawyer, putting a real lawyer in there. So let's take a brief moment to talk about your opponent, the indicted Ken Paxton, incredible figure. You've been doing a great job of defining him as a figure and what corruption looks like in Texas.
Yeah.
The thing about here in Texas, it's not a secret. No one's trying to hide their corruption in this state. And I think Ken Paxton is really ground zero for that. So how have you been making the divide between defining your opponent and speaking to your values and campaigning on the issues that matter to people?
I think they go hand in hand together. Yeah. We talk a lot about justice and fairness and integrity that are not Republican or Democratic values, they're Texas and American values.
Yes.
And the contrast to Mr. Paxton, who was the first statewide official in Texas history to run for re-election while under indictment. So we really
love
want to
history breakers.
Well,
a real glass ceiling for us.
we really want to give people a real choice, and I think we're doing that in this race.
I think you're absolutely right. And one of the issues that I've been really impressed that you've taken on this cycle, and I know we've talked about this before, is gerrymandering.
Yeah.
People don't think of that as a sexy campaign issue, but as you and I have talked about, it gets down to a very basic issue of fairness in our elections.
It is, and it's what I teach at UT Law School, which is the number one thing that most legislators care about is winning re-election. And if you only care about the primary, if that's the only thing you care about, then you're only going to appeal to the far Tea Party extreme. And so I think that fixing gerrymandering is critical to fixing our democracy.
Yes.
That's why some people have said that this race is so important. And it's an issue that I care so deeply about, and I've litigated this in private practice too, as part of my nonprofit, One Nation, One Vote.
Yes.
And so we are really trying to come back to having a democracy that works for everybody.
Yeah. And I'm, again, so thankful that you're doing that. And now the other big issue that we're already seeing in the exit polls, that healthcare has been the number one issue for our voters tonight. Absolutely, which is no surprise to us.
Yeah.
And I think you've really been hitting home how important healthcare is and the role that Texas Republicans are taking in dismantling the Affordable Care Act. And so, what does that look like for you? How are you talking about that
issue? If I win on my first day of office, I'm going to withdraw Texas from the suit to end protections.
Can I just solo applause that? I think everyone could agree we need that.
So, and that's crazy. Mr. Paxton has filed suit to try to get rid of pre-existing condition protections for every single American, misusing Texas taxpayer dollars. So I've tried to call attention to it. People come up and hug me on the trail because it's such an important issue, and I'm really glad I brought attention to it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. You're doing an incredible job. I've been so proud to watch you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
and thanks
much.
for all that you're doing and all, it's a Republic if you can Jeep it. It's all together now, coming and being part of this solution, and thank you for what you're doing too.
Thank you. Happy to do it. Happy to do it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll do a quick break and we'll be right back after this. Thanks so much.
It wasn't until I got into healthcare finance that I realized how broken the system is. Unfortunately, Roger Williams is bought and paid for by special interests. He's voted over 50 times to rescind healthcare protections for the people in this district. My son had health issues since he was 5 years old, and I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, what are they doing? I need to save my son from Congress. Congress should help folks like my son, and that's not what we have. And I want to change that. I'm Julie Oliver, and I approve this message.
All right, welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. I'm joined now by another incredible statewide candidate this evening, Miguel, who is running for Land Commission. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for stepping up and running.
Oh, man, it's been my honor.
I don't think that's something we say enough, is thanking our candidates for, it's not easy to run, and it's not easy on your family. So I want to say, on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for stepping up.
You're very welcome, and it's my pleasure. You know, it's been the honor of my lifetime to be the nominee, so it's been fantastic.
Yeah. So why Land Commission? That's one of the ones that I'm not even sure everyone knows that they're voting for sometimes.
There's a lot of folks in Texas that don't know what the Texas General Land Office does.
Yeah.
You know, it's the office that I'm most qualified to hold because of my background and experience and education. So threw my hat in the ring, took on the biggest name in Texas politics, and let's see what happens.
Little baby Bush.
Yes, sir.
Little baby Bush. So what is the role of the land office?
Well, number one thing that it does is it raises revenue for our schools and for our teachers, for education.
Oh, is that that little thing?
Yeah, that little thing that impacts all of our lives. Make sure that we have kids that can read and write and have books and all that kind of thing. So that's an important role. It also oversees the Alamo, which is a really critical function of the office. And it also helps us recover from and prepare for storms like Hurricane Harvey.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of if that storm hits, it's when. And so we need a land office that's going to be preparing us to meet that challenge.
Yes. And that really takes into account one of the other big issues of this whole cycle is climate change.
That's right.
And the way that we're responding and are preparing our cities for these very real issues. And what have you been hearing about that and talking about on the trail about climate change?
Well, it's something we got to prepare for, but I kind of view it as having to go on a diet as a global society. How do we wean ourselves off of fossil fuels without disrupting our economy and disrupting our own lifestyles? So it's the challenge of our age, and we got to be serious about it. We got to work with oil and gas, and we got to educate people about where their energy comes from and how it's used and how they can better use their energy to be more efficient and more effective, and make sure we save our planet while also maintaining our standard of living.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. An incredible way to frame thinking about it also. It's not some radical hippie concept.
No.
Like, it's just about everyday life and how we go about our business. And so, the thing that I'm always interested in statewide candidates, this state is ginormous to campaign in.
I've learned just how big it is driving around it for the life. It is vast.
What have you been seeing on the ground? What have you been talking about with people?
Just pure energy. People are excited, they're engaged, they want better elected officials. They want to know what the office does. They want to know how they can be involved. and just energy and appetite for change is in the air. And as a candidate, it's very exciting to see that.
Yeah, and to be able to have those kind of one-on-one conversations with people is incredible.
It is.
It's even why I like having these interviews, getting to just talk with people about what's at stake.
I've had so many worthwhile conversations with folks around the state about what the office does. It's been amazing.
Okay, races other than yours, what are you watching tonight?
I'm looking to see how Kim Olson fares. I think that's going to be really competitive. My good buddy Mike Collier, who looks like he's doing strong.
Yes, he's going to be joining us in just a few minutes.
Awesome.
Stay tuned
and Justin
for that.
Nelson, and obviously the man at the top of the ticket. You know, the guy who's really the energy behind this wave that we're riding, Beto O'Rourke. We're hoping for him to pull off the upset of Senator Cruz tonight.
Yeah, and we are seeing a lot of great numbers coming out so far. This room is filling.
It is.
You can probably hear behind me, we're hearing a lot of great things going on. Well, I just want to thank you so much for joining us. It's such a privilege to have you here.
Absolutely,
and
my
thank
pleasure.
you again for running. We're going to take just a super quick break and be back with our social report that we promised you earlier. So stay tuned. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. And we are back, and I want to welcome my friend Wesley from Progress Texas, also working with me tonight, and he's keeping an eye on everything online. That's our Facebook Live comments, Twitter, Instagram, seeing what everybody on the ground is saying about this election right now. And so I'm assuming your head is spinning.
Yeah, I can tell you it's wild.
I can't even pull Twitter up right now because it's too overwhelming. But what are we seeing online right now?
I will say overall the vibe is really positive. People are really excited about the early results that are coming out right now, and they're really excited about some of these candidates that seem to be ahead, especially the progressive candidates.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. So let's talk about Twitter. We've seen some really interesting where's the discussion heading right now? What are people talking about?
A lot of people are really just encouraging people who are at the polls right now to stay in line. That's a big message.
Are we still
on
seeing
Twitter right
people
now.
in line?
Yeah, there are
around the
definitely
state?
still
Wow.
people in line, especially in
Wow.
Texas, because we have those like 8 or 9 places that were forced to stay open.
In Harris County, yes.
In Harris County. And so
we've been
those
seeing
people are
long
still at the
lines
polls.
everywhere today, so it's expected that people still might be in line. Again, if you are gracious enough to be streaming from your phone in line, please stay there. You have every right to do so. But so you're seeing people talking about why they're voting. That's why they're staying in line.
Yeah.
We're getting some good updates from O'Rourke. Still too early to call anything. But what are people talking about is why they're voting in this election?
So people are giving multiple different reasons. Some are talking about they are voting for more representation in Texas. Others, so there was one poll that came out from NBC News, their exit polls, and it talks about the reasons that people gave for specifically voting and what their biggest issues are in this election cycle, and healthcare was overwhelmingly the top priority for Texans. I mean, I think that's something you and I knew going into this, that healthcare was something that was going to be really important to Texans.
Yeah, that's something Progress Texas has been talking about for a long time now, and making sure that all of our progressive candidates and our activists are putting that at the top of their work.
Exactly.
So I think that's important. What else do you have for me?
Okay, so one really exciting thing that I think you'll appreciate is Kim Davis. She did not win her re-election bid, so she's not going to be working anymore, which is great.
Kim Davis is the infamous
the Kentucky clerk who denied denied giving same-sex people their marriage licenses after the 2015 ruling.
Bye, Kim.
Yeah,
nice
we won't miss you, Kim. We won't miss you.
We're not upset about that at all. Well, that's a great update.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I knew that you were going to be really excited with that.
I appreciate that.
I knew that you were going to be really excited.
That woman is a real son of a bitch. Son of a bitch.
She's not the best. And then one really exciting thing too is that Texas Election Source is saying that they're projecting statewide turnout in Texas to be around 8.3 million, which, as we know, is about 0.6 million less than the 2016 election, so a presidential election, but that's over 3.6 million more than the 2014 election. So those numbers are outstanding.
That's outstanding. That's absolutely outstanding. And those high numbers, that high turnout in these densely populated areas is going to mean absolutely huge wins for us tonight. All right, you got anything else?
That's it.
We want to tap you out? Okay, we're going to tap you out. We're going to change mics. We're going to bring Mark in, if we can, real quick. Bring him in for a numbers update. Another thank you. You can tap out and change your mics with him. Thank you, Wesley, for coming and watching online. Another great time to take a drink break if you must, but also to remember that it's a great time to donate to Progress Texas. Win or lose tonight, we are going to keep doing this work every damn day. So you can make your donations at progresstexas.org/donate. And if you're making donations tonight, we're going to be reading them throughout. Hopefully, maybe Mark's bringing us some tonight. But we just want to thank you for your support, and let's hear what is going on, Mark. Woo. A lot has happened since we've had all these great candidates on since we last spoke.
Woo. Yeah,
which feels like 1 to 2 minutes ago for me, but I guess things are happening.
We got the early vote numbers in Harris County.
Oh, we're starting to see that.
We're starting to see that.
Is it past 8 o'clock? Wow.
Beto 57, Cruz 42. Out of there with 120,000 K vote margin. So
wow,
exactly what he needs out of Harris County. Again, we're just going to keep waiting. This is going to be late into the night.
It's going to be late. Tonight.
It's going to go down to the wire. We're also looking at 11 Texas House races now. People are kind of predicting. So this is state House races.
Yes,
are going to flip from Republican to Democrat, and now two potential.
How many? I'm sorry. How many was that again?
11.
Wow.
And then
that's
two
much more than we
had
projected.
More than we projected, more than most people projected. And the other big thing is just people are saying that the Dallas Republican Party is in disarray tonight. We're seeing a complete wipeout in Dallas of the Republican Party.
My favorite song.
But yeah, 11 Texas House seats at minimum, and there's still 4 to 5 seats out there that are in play that we're still waiting for numbers on. And the Senate race, we're looking at 2 Senate races. I just got word, and I haven't seen the official numbers because the Wi-Fi in here is killing us, is that Julie Oliver is up, which is a surprise. I mean, I love Julie Oliver.
My congresswoman?
Yeah, I love Julie Oliver.
Heavily Republican-favored district.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I think the story I'm going to predict, I haven't seen the numbers myself, But if she wins that district, it is going to be because of the student vote at the University of Texas.
You think so?
I absolutely think so. The student vote is up there tremendously right now.
Yeah, you were saying the lines to vote were like over an hour,
yes.
2 hours.
This morning at 7 a.m., there started to be a line.
Other races that I haven't seen any numbers yet that I was super interested in was MJ Hager. I don't know if you've talked about MJ Hager yet tonight.
We haven't talked much about her quite yet. What are we seeing anything yet?
I haven't seen
is it
anything
still too early?
yet. Let's see.
I haven't seen anything yet.
Super close. Looks like early vote was 50.1 to 48.4 is the last I've seen on that.
Early vote.
Early vote. And I haven't seen any actual voting data yet on that.
Interesting. A little update on the Julie Oliver race. We're seeing right now 57 to 41 for Julie Oliver. There are a few instances where I think anyone predicted she would lead at any time in the evening, except for me in my heart. I was always cheering for you, Julie. Don't put me down with those critics.
Now we're looking at multiple congressional flips here in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
I think people really pegged Texas for one. Aldrin in Dallas-Fort Worth area.
What are we seeing? Oh.
The Beto numbers coming in.
Beto mania is continuing. What are we
He's
seeing
up
there?
100,000 votes.
Wow. Leading by 100,000 votes. This is why I'm getting chills. I'm getting chills, Mark.
Now I want to talk about these congressional races a little bit because the Beto stuff is very exciting. Sorry, I'm like coming apart here.
You're doing great. You're doing great, sweetie.
The Beto numbers are exciting. They're coming in, but I think most people before the election were looking at really one race that Texas could play on the congressional level. Realistically,
Yes.
Aldrin in the Dallas area, he could be part of the wave that flips U.S. Control of Congress to the Democrats. But now we're starting to see these other races. If Julie Oliver can win, that's massive. She could be the reason why Democrats take control of the House. We don't know yet, but she could be the reason the Democrats
And we
take
played her
control of the
ad
House.
earlier this evening, so I think people got a little bit of her backstory. But she isn't someone that's supposed to run for Congress. You know, this is not the people that we're seeing, and we're seeing new candidates step up and that reflect their district, and it seems to be working.
Yeah. The one sad one I would say that I'm seeing numbers come out that I'm not super optimistic is Jones in CD23. It's close. It's close. It's not, the race hasn't been called yet.
It ain't over till it's over.
But it doesn't look like she'll be able to pull it out with the counties that are left. El Paso's already been counted in her numbers. But that would also be a huge pickup if we could win that race, CD23, which is one of the largest congressional districts in the entire country.
And I don't think we have any numbers on the Joseph Kopser race yet, do we?
I haven't
are we seeing
gotten
anything?
on
but
that yet.
I would predict that if we are seeing such numbers, Julie Oliver's district really is right next neighbors Joseph Kopser's, where they're running. If that student vote is turning out,
MJ Hager is only down 3,000 votes right now.
Wow.
That race is going to come down to the wire, and she is an inspirational candidate.
She's incredible. We'll be playing her ad later this evening also.
Yeah.
So she's down. That is another race where Democrats were never, ever, ever, ever supposed to be able to compete.
No.
And if she is bringing this down to the wire, that is incredible.
Yeah, it just goes to show the strength of the candidates we have up and down the ballot this year. Somebody like MJ Hager, a veteran, who's really put together a marvelous campaign with some really using her personal story in her viral campaigns. And if that could be another one in Texas, then we're looking at 4 races in Texas that could flip.
Have we talked about Lizzie Fletcher's race at all?
Yes, she is up.
She's up. We'd love to see that.
Let me grab that number for you. I only have the early vote data for that. Let me grab that.
We only have early votes still?
Let us see. She leads 53-47 in early vote. That's one of Houston's most competitive congressional races. So again, how many congressional races now are we in play here? Are we talking about 5?
I think, wow.
Yeah, like legitimately in play.
And we, before this evening, probably thought we had 1.
One that I think
I said 7, but I was feeling really optimistic.
Yeah. One that I think most outside experts from Texas said, hey, this is a coin flip race. We're going to dump money into it. Now we're looking at tonight, there's going to be 5 coin flips. I'm feeling really confident about 3 of them. 2 of them we'll wait to see. But again, it's in Austin, it's in Dallas, and it's in Harris. You're going to hear that theme over and over again when I come in. Austin, the suburbs of Austin as well. Dallas, the Metroplex with Tarrant County, and Harris. If we have massive victories, it's going to be because of Democratic voters in those areas turning out at astronomical rates.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing so far, so I'm super excited. Who we got next?
Awesome. We're going to take a quick break. Thank you, Mark. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by our candidate for Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Mike Collier. We'll be right back. Thank you so much. Hey y'all, welcome back. We're hearing a lot of excitement right now as more great results are coming in the Beto O'Rourke race, but we are joined right now by another incredible statewide candidate, Mr. Mike Collier, who is a candidate for Lieutenant Governor. Thank you so much for
Happy
joining
to be here,
us.
Charlie.
Thank you so much. Now, one of the questions that I love asking our statewide candidates is, what is Texas like out there? You guys have an understanding of this state that I think few other people have. So what are you hearing on the campaign trail?
Well, first I would say it is a fabulous state. And one of the reasons why I'm not the least bit tired is because I really love the state.
Yeah.
And
you
I
look
love driving
great.
around.
You look way less tired than me for someone that's been driving all around the state.
Well, we've been all over the place. Yeah. I mean, I don't even want to begin to tell you how many cities and counties and so forth. We've been working on this for 2 years.
Yeah.
No, it's a wonderful state and wonderful people. And probably the most amazing thing I find is that we're a lot more alike than we are not alike.
Yes.
I mean, our values, Texans, and I hear this everywhere I go, I think partisanship and parties sometimes confuse things.
Yeah.
But if you're doing like I do and talk about issues that matter to people, we agree on an awful lot of stuff. And that's a very joyful proposition. So I sort of feel like, you know, my job is to bring us together in a sense.
Yeah. And now that seems like a novel concept given who you're running against, who I think personally has done more to divide this state than few other figures.
Well, I think so.
I think as someone who's worked in the Texas legislature.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think so. That's one of the reasons why I decided to run against him.
Yeah.
You know, I found that he's not somebody who tries to solve problems honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to explain why he does stuff like the bathroom bill. I'm not going to try to explain why he does, you know, ignoring the public education situation, property tax situation, health care. I'll let him try to explain it. It looks like he might not get a chance to explain it if things keep going the way they're going. But that's why I ran against him, because what I want to see in political leaders, probably what you want to see in political leaders, is let's just roll up our sleeves and solve problems.
Yes.
If you roll up your sleeves and solve problems, then you find very quickly that we really are a lot more alike than we are not alike.
Yeah.
And that makes this a very joyful exercise.
Yeah. And when we think about having that attitude at the top of the Senate, at the top of the way that we think about how we're legislating in a time that can be really divisive.
Right.
Having that as our leadership point, as our guiding light, changes politics in this state.
Oh, I agree.
absolutely changes politics.
Oh, I agree. And I think that's one of the reasons why. I mean, we're very early on. The night is young.
The night is young.
Anything can happen. So
the night
and
is
I'm
young.
I'm an accountant. I worry. I sweat the details. It ain't over till it's over. However,
I agree.
We're starting out very strong,
Yeah.
even though Democrats typically don't win in Texas
Yeah.
or didn't used to. And the reason for that is that, and I hear this everywhere I go. I hear the word refreshing.
Yeah.
Now, there's really nothing special about me, and I'm your neighbor.
Yeah.
The only thing that's unique about me is that I took the time to study the issues, make a lot of phone calls, think deeply, and then offer sensible solutions. And people say, wow, isn't that novel? Isn't that refreshing?
Isn't it? Somebody who's learning policy is running for statewide office?
I know.
God bless us.
I know.
God bless us. Well, and you haven't met Dan Patrick, is that correct?
No.
That there was never, he refused to debate this entire...
No, that's right, and I think that worked very hard against him.
Yeah.
I think Texans deserve to hear their point of view of their leaders. I mean, the lieutenant governor, some would argue, is the most powerful position in the state. And we have opposing points of view as to education. We have opposing points of view as to health care. We have opposing points of view as to gerrymandering. So I'm sharing my point of view in every city in the state, and Dan Patrick did not come out, nor did he debate. And I think that's working very hard against him this evening.
My favorite thing was to see him campaigning across the state
in
his jet at press conferences with 0 voters. I'm like, I don't think we think campaigning's the same thing.
Let me tell you something. Here's the way I think politics ought to work. We ought to get out there and present ourselves to voters. It's easier when you're the challenger because you've never made a hard decision. I acknowledge that. However, it becomes increasingly, more important to get out there and to share your point of view. And my conception of the lieutenant governor is somebody who's out on the road a lot.
Yes.
And taking your lumps.
Yes.
Well, I got to stand in front of people and say, these are the decisions that we made. This is why. How do you feel about it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? That, in my opinion, is the essence of leadership, and that's what I aspire to.
Yeah. And now, what other races other than your own are you excited about tonight?
Well,
who have you been following this cycle?
I mean, obviously Beto.
Yes.
I don't
Next.
I don't use the word admire too often, but I admire Beto.
Yeah.
He and I have known each other from the beginning, and he's done just a marvelous job. And his point of view is similar to my point of view. He's a very sincere, very authentic person.
Yes.
Sharing his point of view. There's not a lot of political calculus behind it. You ask him, how do you feel about something, and he'll tell you.
A straight shooter.
And so I think that's wonderful. I think Lupe Valdez is fabulous. We've been campaigning together. I think she is a very sincere, very authentic person. All of the Democrats up and down the ballot, I feel I have a wonderful and warm relationship with, because we're all coming at it for the same reason. We just want to solve problems, make Texas better.
That's what I love. How do you think this election changes things, changes the calculus moving forward? What does the next election cycle look like for Texas?
Well, I think, frankly, what's happening now is a rejection, a categorical rejection of polarized politics, and particularly a discrediting of the hard right. Now, let me give the best example that I can think of. The hard right of the state is anti-public education. They're hostile to public education. However, the vast majority of Texans are pro-public education. And so what this election does, even if I don't win, it's razor thin if I don't win. It's very clear to me and to everyone else that Texans want us pro-public education. And there are other issues. And I would say the same thing about each. Healthcare, for example. We should have expanded Medicaid.
Years ago.
That's a good financial deal for Texas. And so I think this is a referendum on politics and the state of politics in many levels. Let's take gerrymandering, for example. I mean, I'm very passionate about ending gerrymandering. That isn't something an incumbent lieutenant governor would dare do. It's something only an outsider, such as myself, would have the political capital and the strong desire to do. Charlie, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity as it relates to gerrymandering. The only time you can kill gerrymandering is when you're in transition. If I win, I am the definition of political transition. And so now is the time to move. It's a tremendous sense of urgency to go to an independent redistricting commission, and that will restore democracy. I think gerrymandering is the root cause of all of our divisiveness. So we kill gerrymandering, then we restore, I like to say we have a new birth of democracy, and civility follows right behind that. And so this is a very exciting time for me, I can tell you.
Well, it was so good to meet you.
Well, nice
thank
to
you
meet
so
you,
much,
Charlie.
and I wish you all the luck this evening.
Well, thank you.
We are absolutely rooting for you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Tara's going to be interviewing the head of Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, so stay tuned for more updates. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. I'm Tara Pohlmeyer here with Progress Texas, and today we have Yvonne Gutierrez with us with Planned Parenthood Texas Votes. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, what a night.
It's a crazy night.
Crazy.
It's so amazing. So I know a lot of us know what Planned Parenthood does as a clinic and all the wonderful work that they do. Can you tell us a little bit about what Planned Parenthood Texas Votes does?
Sure. So we are the political and advocacy arm for Planned Parenthood in Texas. So we run basically all things policy, all things advocacy, all things electoral in the state of Texas for our statewide races. So we have a statewide political action committee, so we've been working hard for all of these candidates statewide and down ballot.
So you've seen a lot, obviously y'all put a lot of work in. Besides maybe endorsements of candidates, what kind of work do y'all do throughout the election cycle?
Well, we have tremendous volunteers. Planned Parenthood really across the country and especially in the state of Texas. The Planned Parenthood brand is incredibly strong. We had a poll recently that said we were more popular than Beto and Whataburger, so we were pretty impressed by that among women. But what was terrific is that our volunteers made over 50,000 calls. They knocked on doors with the candidates, and then we ran a really sophisticated high-scale digital program talking to women who are either Planned Parenthood supporters or likely supporters about races, down ballot races here in the state of Texas that are important to them and why changing the legislature is so important to women's health and reproductive rights.
So true. So what races are you watching tonight?
So what's terrific, I think, is that the entire slate in Dallas of Democratic candidates, specifically women of color, are really pushing ahead. So we've seen Victoria Niave, who is terrific. We've seen Retta Bowers actually getting some great numbers tonight. So I think that Ana Maria Ramos, so we have really fantastic candidates there who are endorsed candidates and candidates that we've worked hard. Right here in Austin, Vicki Goodwin. We've done a ton of work for Vicki, and I did not mention Terry Mesa in Dallas. Looks like she's pulling ahead as well. So really, really terrific candidates, and we couldn't be prouder, and especially of our state Senate candidates. To see Nathan Johnson in Dallas, also that amazing race with Beverly Powell in Fort Worth, which we know it's a tough one, and then Rita Lucido, who is just a incredible Planned Parenthood supporter, has been a board member fighting it out in Houston. So it's been fascinating, and also just the incredible amount of work both by our supporters, our staff, and our team, and everyone across the state and these amazing candidates.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you think has been different this election? Like, why are people turning out now? What have you seen on calls and the streets, knocking doors?
You know, I think that what's been really interesting, and obviously nobody can deny what's happening with Beto O'Rourke right now. He is a Planned Parenthood Action Fund endorsed candidate. Amazing, and this could be really, really a historic night for Texas. But I think what has the energy was really around just not what's happening nationally, but also what's happening in our state. You know, this is not characteristic of Texas. You know, we are not anti-LGBTQ. We are not anti-women's health and reproductive rights. We are not anti-immigrant. That is not who we are. And I think that especially young people and young people of color, and saying that these are for Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, these are our voters. This is our audience, right? We call our Beyonce voters, and we saw Beyonce coming out strong today. But they're ready. They're really ready to take the lead, and honestly, I could not be more thrilled that that we've got just such an incredible wave of support that's happening right now.
That's absolutely fantastic. So looking, I think past tonight's going to be fantastic. I can feel it. But what does progress mean to you when we think about the future of Texas, like this Texas that reflects our values? What does that mean to you?
So I think that for a lot of us, we were looking at 2018 to be really this pivotal year where we're moving the needle and looking towards 2020, right? Because this is so important to us, the progress that we're making in our state, and as I mentioned, right? I mean, like the change that we want to make. But for us, we've got an opportunity with redistricting in 2021, right? Yeah. We've got a huge election in 2020. Everything working in advance of that is what is so important. So I am just really thrilled that 2018 is the pivotal year that we were hoping for, and in advance of 2020, where we can really, really shape the outcome of not only Texas, but the country, and in 2022 as well.
Amazing. Yeah. How can people get involved with Planned Parenthood Texas Votes if they're looking ahead to
Yes,
2020?
absolutely. Well, many of you know Sadie Hernandez, who is our digital organizer. She's amazing. She's all over all of the platforms. But certainly, Planned Parenthood Texas Votes on Facebook, on Twitter, or also on Instagram. And then on our website, pbtexasvotes.org, you can sign up to become a volunteer. And also, just really make sure that you're signing petitions, that you're making your voice heard, that as a Planned Parenthood supporter, that you are really talking to your elected leaders.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else that people should know about tonight? How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great. I am feeling really excited about the new leaders that we're going to have in our state legislature, and I'm just excited that Texas is still on MSNBC and CNN right now, which I don't think we haven't ever seen many people in their lifetime. So exciting night, and just thank you so much for inviting me and for having this live feed.
Yes, awesome. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have some great interviews with other candidates and partners, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I am joined by two of my favorite people in the whole world, the incredible representatives, Miss Donna Howard and Representative Gina Hinojosa, incredible representatives from here in Travis County. Thank y'all for joining me tonight.
It's our pleasure. We're glad to be here.
Now, y'all have been instrumental in not just running your own campaigns and helping people in Travis County, but helping female candidates across the state. Why has that been so important to you this cycle?
Well, I think primarily because we are so underrepresented in the legislature. There's only 20% of the legislature is women, and we know that if there are more women elected, we will have a different agenda, for one thing. But certainly if you just look at how Texas looks, we want the representation to reflect the state of Texas.
Yes.
Right on.
It's a great joint interview, Silva. And now you were on campus, especially tonight. So what are we seeing from the youth vote tonight? Because that's going to be the historic story this evening, I think.
Well, the youth vote's up like 500% in Texas, something like that. Last I heard, UT in particular has way overperformed, for sure, the midterms, probably the 2016 presidential numbers as well.
And I think that's in large part because of folks like y'all who are showing up to have conversations with young people that you represent. A novel concept, apparently.
Well, and I think it's important to remember that all this is happening in spite of every effort made by the state to make it harder for people to participate.
Yeah.
And still people are finding a way to make their voices heard.
Yes.
And I also think that the young people in particular have really awakened to how relevant these elections are to their lives.
Yes.
And we owe a lot of gratitude to all of the young folks who have stepped up and really upped their game and have brought this together. I mean, we're doing what we can do, but I give all kinds of credit to them for doing their organizing.
Yeah. And now I think you're an especially great voice tonight to talk about why every vote matters and how close this election is. Why is that for you?
Well, in the 2010 midterm elections, Democrats went from 74 to 49. God. We had a huge defeat. And I barely hung on. I won by 16 votes that night, and my election was contested. And it wasn't until months later that it was finally resolved, and I ultimately won by 4 votes out of over 50,000 votes cast. So indeed, every single vote counts.
Yeah. And we're hearing that people are still in lines in a lot of places. So if you have friends who are still in line anywhere, tell them this story.
And
it is
if
not
you're
a
in line
platitude.
at 7 p.m.,
yes,
you still can vote.
Yes. And I think that's so important to remember. And so let's look forward. What races are y'all really excited about tonight?
Well, we're particularly excited about what's going on in the Texas House.
Yes.
And Donna did you bring with you notes, Donna, about what?
Well, we're hearing some yelling, so it could be something good happening. But we know that we have probably at least 12 potential new Democrats coming to the House.
Now.
12.
That's up from our last report last hour. Wow.
And another 5 in play.
Wow.
So we're extremely
that would be
excited.
Huge pickups this evening.
Huge pickup, yes.
Wow, that's exciting. Well, so with the new faces we're going to have in the legislature, then we already know we're going to have several, if not all these ones that y'all are talking about. What's on our agenda for this next session?
Well, I think we're going to finally get down to the business of Texas that Texans want us to be dealing with, like public education and higher education and infrastructure and healthcare, instead of being focused on divisive issues that are not what we really need to be working on, spending all of our bandwidth on bathrooms and who can pee where. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, are there any congressional races that y'all are watching this evening? There are so many in play this evening.
Well, I know is it your congressional district too? Julie Oliver in my congressional district is up last time I checked.
We're seeing her in the lead. Absolutely unprecedented.
Yes. Yeah, we have, well, actually, because of gerrymandering, we have 6 congressional districts in Austin.
Yes.
5 in Travis County, but Austin goes into Williamson County, so we actually have 6.
Yes.
And
then the gerrymander, I was reading that Julie Oliver's district somehow used to be Lloyd Doggett's district. Somehow he's had every district in town somehow.
Absolutely.
Still in office.
But we're very encouraged by what we're seeing in the early vote that we're going to pick up some of those seats. And what we're hearing nationally is there's going to be even more. And so we're hopeful, and it looks like the Democrats could actually take over the House and the
I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to happen because of Texas. We have so many in play that we're never supposed to be in play, that Texas is at the heart of this story tonight.
The bottom line is that Texans are now voting.
Yes.
I mean, people have been saying for a long time that we're not a blue state, we're a non-voting state. Because of all the people who have done all the work in this campaign, we're actually seeing Texans vote. And when Texans vote, they're going to vote for the things that make a difference in our lives, and that's why they're voting for Democrats.
Yes. I think that's a great place to leave it. That's an inspiring note.
Absolutely.
I think that's an inspiring note.
Thank
y'all so much for joining us. It's such a fun night to have you guys here. We're going to be right back with more coverage live from the Driscoll Hotel. Thank you guys so much. Woo! All right, welcome back, y'all. Thank you so much for staying tuned. There's a lot of excitement in this room right now.
We're packed.
Hearing a lot going on. This room is completely packed at this Democratic Party, this giant ballroom that we've been showing you all night. Now, Tara, what are we hearing? What the hell is going on right now?
It's a lot, but right now what just came in and what all those cheers were for was there's a 95% chance, I believe, that we just took control of the House, which is so exciting.
The control of the U.S. House.
The U.S. House of Representatives.
That's incredible.
Yes.
That's incredible.
So Texas, combined with a lot of help, from the rest of the U.S., we now have more Democrats there in the House than the majority Democrats.
Yeah. And now we're still waiting on those reports from Harris County.
Yes, we
Because
are.
of all the delays, we still don't have much of anything.
And we're
except
still
for
waiting
early
on
voting.
El Paso too, correct?
Yes, because of their late voting returns. Numbers are looking great in El Paso. Turnout has been exceptional there. Do we have anything else? What's the vibe tonight? What is the vibe?
What is the vibe? I would say the vibe is kind of like just a shaking excitement.
Yes.
If I had to give it an
That is
action.
specific, and I like it. I like it a lot. Well, I think we're still hearing great numbers for Julie Oliver. She's still in the lead over there.
Amazing. Yes.
Which is amazing. But really, this room is on fire for Beto tonight.
It really is. People have brought signs. There's people in shirts. There's people who have like makeshift buttons that they've fashioned out of things because they can't find an actual button because everyone already has them. It's a lot going on here tonight.
There really, really, really is. And so we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back live with our friends from the Texas Freedom Network. We'll be back in just a second. Welcome back, welcome back. We are hearing so many exciting returns tonight. A lot of news is going to be coming up in the next half hour or so, but I wanted to take a quick minute to talk to my friend Carissa Lopez. Carissa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Carissa's the political director over at the Texas Freedom Network, who do incredible work year-round to build power here in Texas. So tell me a little bit more about what the Texas Freedom Network is.
So the Texas Freedom Network, we are a civil liberties and advocacy organization. And we fight for a variety of issues, including LGBTQ rights, reproductive justice, education, criminal justice, really a wide variety of issues. And then tonight, it's a really big night for our Texas Rising program, which is our youth engagement program, because they have been working their butts off getting out the vote. That is our under 30 organizing program, where we're organizing on college campuses. We were at more than 20 campuses this cycle, really working with young people.
Yeah, and that Texas Rising program is something I really want to emphasize, because they are doing incredible work, not just to engage people, young people in this one election cycle, which we've seen is the story of the evening, but that's building power for the future.
It is, and I am actually a Texas Rising graduate. They are really building a leadership pipeline. So So they, Texas Rising, they have student chapters across the state. They are working with students. It's led by students, which is key because, I think we are seeing such a huge voter turnout by young people under 30 this election cycle. And when you have young people mobilizing themselves and their peers, that's how you win. Yeah. And so we're seeing that, and I'm really proud of our Texas Rising program for being a huge part of that effort, along with many of our partners that we worked really closely with. And yeah, they're building a pipeline, and they're working year-round, not just during election cycles. They're registering voters year-round. We're working on issues. We're talking to students and young people and asking them what issues they care about.
And I think that's so important to emphasize for our viewers who think that, we win tonight, we can do great tonight, and it's over. This fight continues every day, and groups like Texas Freedom Network are great to get involved with for year-round support, right?
Yeah, so we have, it's election night. We're having a really incredibly exciting election night in Texas. We're seeing historic turnout among young people, but tomorrow, when that's over, there's still more work to do. We are going to continue and engaging. We have legislative session coming up in January, and hopefully it'll be a lot more friendly after tonight. But we want to make sure that young people are engaged and students are engaged in the entire process, so they feel connected to the process and that they understand that they have a say in this process.
Yes. That's the biggest thing. One of the things we always say, you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu, right?
Yeah.
So, we're finally giving young people a seat at the table. And it's going to change policy.
And our President Kathy Miller says all the time, something happened. Our President Kathy Miller says all the time, I'm not going to come to a party I'm not invited to.
Yes.
So we have to make sure that it is an open, welcoming party that we're actually inviting them to. And it helps when you have your fellow students inviting you to that party.
So what races are you particularly excited about? We're watching a ton tonight, but what ones are personal to you this evening?
So the Senate race, the federal Senate race, Beto it's neck and neck, which is incredible. But we also, last I checked, I think there were 12 state house seats that we were up in.
We were just hearing from the representatives. There are 12 seats that we're up right now.
Which is incredible because those are the seats that are going to matter when we go into legislative sessions. We are up by 2 or 3 state Senate seats, which is huge, and a lot, like the lieutenant governor's race last I checked was close. The attorney general's race was close. The agriculture commissioner race was close. We're seeing so many, and this is what happens when you have over a third of the electorate and the voting population be young people. So they're more progressive than we've ever seen. They're more engaged than we've ever seen, and this is what happens.
So what are we looking for the legislative session now? What is going to be Texas Freedom Network's, Texas Rising's focus as we move into this legislative session starting in January?
So we're going to be looking at a wide variety of issues. Reproductive rights is always on the table. Reproductive justice is always something we're going to be working on. And hopefully, a lot of the time, unfortunately, we spend a lot of time playing defense. We have these really great proactive bills, but we can't spend as much time on them as we would like. Now, this is why elections matter, because if we can take all 12 of those state house seats and 3 state senate seats, we can do so much more good at the legislative session. We don't hopefully have to worry about a bathroom bill, and instead maybe we can pass pro-equality bills. We don't have to worry about maybe vouchers as much. We can pass pro-education bills, restore education funding. We can, solve our maternal mortality health crisis in the state of Texas. So hopefully, it's a really exciting night, and it's going to literally save a lot of people's lives.
Yes, I think that's absolutely. We have to make this personal for people. This is not just a night to celebrate wins and mourn losses. We are talking about real people's lives are at stake tonight. And I do want to say we got a couple of close races that we're watching. We're getting updates. The race is tightening for Julie Oliver and MJ Hagar. Some of our long shot congressional races.
A lot of congressional races are up, which is exciting. And these are gerrymandered districts too.
Yes.
So if these were, imagine how close or how we would win these if these districts were drawn fairly too.
Yes. And we're hoping that's going to be at play with enough representation in the next session. We're hoping. Here's for hoping.
Yes,
well,
and maybe we'll have a new senator too.
We're going to see. We're going to be coming up with some more updates coming up soon. Well, Carissa, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for
we
having
love
me.
you. We love the Texas Freedom
I love
Network,
Progress
of
Texas.
course. And thank you guys for watching. We're going to be right back in just a couple of minutes. My friend Wendy Davis is going to be coming up soon, and we'll have another great update from Mark on our numbers that we're watching. So stay tuned. All right, y'all, welcome back, Mark is back with some numbers updates. There's a lot going on, a lot of races to watch. Mark, what the hell is going on right now?
Start with the bad news.
Okay.
It does seem like Beto has, that race is now over. I think Ted Cruz is going to win. When you look at those vote numbers, they are very close right now. but the counties that are left out are just going to be coming from super rural, super Republican counties. And, the projections look like Cruz is going to be able to build up enough votes in those areas to win again. So kind of a sad night on that part. Beto, obviously one hell of a campaign, one hell of a candidate. I think inspired millions of people across the state. We can't take anything away from that.
Yes.
But there are victories here, as you can hear.
This is not over here at the Democratic Party. The House, we're hearing right now that the U.S. House has flipped. We do want to announce we just got Colin Allred's seat also. Sessions has gone down in the Dallas area, and we won that Colin Allred seat. The House has flipped, which is incredible news. We're going to be able to move a strong resistance against Trump in the House right now.
Absolutely. It was, I wanted that one bad. I wanted Pete Sessions out so bad.
Another real son of a bitch in Congress that goes down tonight, and we will sleep just a little bit easier.
So we have control of the House.
We have
control of the U.S. House. This is going to be a massive change in politics on a national level. And Texas was a key player in that. This Aldridge race. We still have a couple other races that Texas looks like could flip. I'm still seeing 4 other potential races that were either close or in the lead still. That will shake out to somewhere in the 2, 3, 4 range. We just don't know yet. But again, it's all happening in that Dallas, Austin, Houston area.
Yeah,
Another big thing that happened.
We're watching all night.
Another big thing that happened, and this is not the sexiest topic, is that
hit me with it.
On the municipal local level in Harris County, Democrats went gangbusters. Judges, County Commissioner Stan Stannard is out.
That was one that we were really rooting against this evening.
Right. He is an incompetent city official in Harris County who has constantly had voting election irregularities, problems with registration. And now we have a progressive, a Democrat in that office who can maybe actually help make voting easier, crazy enough, in the 3rd largest metro area in the United States. So that's a massive victory, and that's a victory that we will see ripples for decades.
Yes.
As we've seen in Austin. Just think about how in Travis County, how having really good people like Bruce Alfont in charge in Travis County has made registration up, early voting up.
Yes.
GOTV is better.
The open polling precincts on
Open
election
polling
day.
precincts. So we might be able to start seeing some reforms in Houston that can radically change the vote turnout in that area. And that could have a big impact down the road. We're still watching these House races. Democrats are comfortably in the lead in over 10 House races. So the state House is going to dramatically change. Democrats will have a much larger role in picking the next Speaker of the Texas House. That's going to be the thing we're going to be watching in the next couple of days after this election.
And I think, it's upsetting to lose this Senate race, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of us were watching this really closely. But the thing that I want to emphasize the most this evening is that you cannot undo organizing.
Right.
No matter how hard people try, you cannot undo good organizing.
Yep.
And so the strides made this election cycle by the O'Rourke campaign cannot be undone.
No.
And we will build on them in future elections, and we are going to start winning very, very soon.
Voting is a habit. Think about how many first-time voters we've had come out tonight or over the last 2 weeks during early vote. And just think about what effect that will have moving forward. I think everybody wanted the Beto race to be different, or any of the statewide races for that matter. But there are real, tangible victories here in Texas that I am very excited about.
There are. I think you're absolutely right. And we still have so many races out that we cannot even call. There are so many people voting that we can't call a lot of these races.
Yeah, and just speaking nationally, there's a lot of fun races in the West and the Southwest, West Coast, that are going to be super interesting to keep an eye on. So I'm excited.
Yeah. All right, well, I think we're going to take another quick break, hopefully get a stiff drink real quick. I encourage you to do the same if you can. It's a tough evening, but there's still a lot of races to watch. And we're going to be back with my friend Wendy Davis right after this. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. We're so sorry. We had to restart the live stream. We did get tagged for playing a Sarah McLachlan song, which I think is the funniest thing ever.
If you're going to get tagged for playing a song, it might as well be the great
Really,
Sarah
truly
McLachlan.
is great. I'm joined now by a no stranger to us here at Progress Texas, my good friend, former state senator Wendy Davis, the founder of Deeds Not Words. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome, Charlie.
It's always so good to see you. Now, what races are you still watching tonight? We've had some upsets. We've had some great excitements. Where are your eyes tonight?
My eyes are really in my home community of North Texas. I'm really watching closely the Beverly Powell race against Connie Burton to reclaim the former district that I represented, Senate District 10. Thus far, Beverly is up by about 3 points. It's a real nail biter, but I do think she's going to carry it off. I also was very pleased to see it looks like we've won another state Senate seat in North Texas. Nathan Johnson taking...
That's a new announcement for us here. That's that Nathan Johnson seat.
That's right,
that we just picked up.
Taking a seat that Don Huffines was in. Don Huffines, one of the most obnoxiously right-wing conservatives in the Texas Senate.
Definitely on our list of real sons of bitches.
Oh yeah,
Texas.
it's a huge pickup for us. And the really great news is it looks like we've won at least 11 state house seats. So
and some still in play.
that number may still grow. Yeah.
That's super exciting. That's super exciting. Now I wanted to talk about your work with Deeds Not Words. What are you all doing, and why did you want to get involved in sort of the next generation of leadership?
You know, it showed itself in this election cycle, right? We saw in Texas, we had almost a 500% increase in early vote turnout. In Tennessee, almost 700% with young voters. And what that means for us, of course, is that is going to be the vehicle through which we flip Texas to the blue side of the column, and so many other states in the country as well. We are so close. What Beto did in his race demonstrated that we have an opportunity absolutely to turn Texas blue, and the young people are the ones who make the difference in that, and that's what our work is all about at Deeds Not Words, just encouraging that young person to understand that they have more power than they possibly know.
I think that's where, and we're so inspired by that work and how it's expanding right now to include so many different types of people and to engage women all across the state of all races and backgrounds and socioeconomic situations in a way that we don't see a lot of other organizations doing.
Thank you, Charlie.
So we're really proud of you.
We have about 18 chapters around the state now. We're in every part of the state at high schools and colleges. And our young women are not just meeting and having conversations. We are training them on how to be strong advocates at the local and state level. We're training them on how to do peer-to-peer voter engagement and turnout of their friends.
Crucial.
And they are actively showing up, representing their values in conversations in state committee hearings and in city council meetings. And they're changing the law. They're changing policy in a very profound and positive way. So I'm super
Alan, bring that
excited
drink
about
in.
that.
Bring that drink in. You deserve that. That's for you.
This is my club soda that I'm drinking here right now. Cheers, honey.
Now, I did want to talk about, we talked briefly about this Beto race, and it is a big disappointment for a lot of people. And one of my favorite things that you've ever written, was your Lenny letter essay, I fucking hate to lose. And the reason I love it so much is because, one, it's a really personal look at what service meant to you. And it was also a cry to stay involved, and that if you're gonna lose, you better lose big and you better lose with flair. And so what advice do you have for some of these incredible candidates who this didn't turn out like they thought it would?
Yeah, just to keep on going. I'm not giving up yet on MJ Hager's race, for example. I'm not giving up on Gina Ortiz-Jones. But if they don't succeed in what they were hoping to do tonight, these women are extraordinary, and I'm going to make sure that I do everything I can to help push them forward and encourage them to own the momentum that they gained in these races, to keep on fighting. One of the things that I learned from Hillary Clinton the woman never gives up,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And it's been a great example for me to watch. I think it's important for us as women to be role models to other young women in that regard. And I think Gina and MJ have a huge, bright future in front of them. I would love to see Gina, if she doesn't succeed tonight, look at that state Senate seat that we lost in the special election that was formerly held by Carlos Uresti, was won by a Republican, even though it's a safe Democratic seat. I'd love to see Gina Ortiz-Jones tearing it up in the Texas Senate. I know she would do a fantastic job.
It's that idea that Hillary always talks about. You get knocked down, but you don't get knocked out.
That's right.
And that there's still an important future for these people, and that a call to service now and a call to be involved. Let's talk about the voters.
Yeah.
Who, many first-time voters are going to go home disappointed tonight with what's at the top of the ticket.
That's right.
Even though we have incredible wins across the state. And we have to harness that. And how do we do that? How do we move forward after
We
this?
don't give up. You know, we can't get discouraged about tonight. I know if Beto indeed does not win, and I'm one of those people who refuses to give up until
You're like,
the bitter
until
end,
everybody's
until
counted.
vote comes in. But if
That's
he
what
doesn't,
we like so much about
if
you.
he doesn't carry it off, we can't give up, because look at what we did. Look at what we did in
that's
this
the thing.
election
There was
cycle.
history made tonight, and
No
it's still being
question.
made.
That's right.
I think you're absolutely right. So what's next? After tonight, we pack up. We'll sleep for a little bit, maybe tomorrow.
We'll sleep for a little bit. We're going to be heading into the legislative session here in Texas. Thankfully, at the national level, it looks like we're going to go into the next congressional cycle with a majority of Democrats in the House. And finally, a check on the Trump administrative
a
agenda.
long-awaited check.
A long-awaited check. And, you know, honestly, an opportunity really to pursue some investigations of the Trump administration that deserve to have some questions answered. So I think we're going to see a very positive momentum going forward. What I'm excited to see in Texas tonight, with the pickup of the state House seats that we've got, I think we can predict pretty safely we're not going to fight about bathrooms anymore.
God bless.
We're probably going to have a big fight on our hand for abortion, and my young women from Deeds Not Words, as well as so many other organizations in this state, including Progress Texas, are going to be at the forefront of pushing back against what we know is going to be a very aggressive assault on women's reproductive freedoms.
I think you're absolutely right. Thank you so much for being
Thank you,
here.
Charlie.
It's always so good to see you. We
Thank
love
you,
having
everyone.
you. And let's cheers one
Cheers,
more
honey.
time. We fucking hate to lose, but,
Oh, we
but
do.
thank you for the victories.
But we
Thank
learn
you for
from
the
it,
victories.
we grow, we go forward, and we win the next time.
Absolutely. Cheers to progress. We'll be right back with more coverage from the Driscoll Hotel. All right, we are back. We're joined with Tara once more from Progress Texas here. A lot more results. We are still waiting on a lot of results tonight. Things are going really late tonight, but we want to wrap up our coverage here. We'll still be tweeting out through tonight.
Yes,
but
yes.
let's talk about just broadly what we've seen tonight, Tara. What have you been watching, and what do you want to close us out with?
We are seeing some historic wins for progressives here in Texas. Texas has sent our first 2 Latinas to Congress.
Yes.
Absolutely
yes.
fantastic. We've regained control of the U.S. House, which will then help us regain control of other U.S., either the Senate or eventually, the other areas there. And Colin Allred up in the Dallas area. A historic win for that area, and we are so excited to be a part of that.
Flip that district.
And to get that district, yes.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely going to be crucial for us moving forward. Still a lot of races in play that we're watching. Still a lot of races in place. I am just getting an update on that race that Wendy was talking about, her old district. We're hearing that Burton is trailing Powell 51-48 with 54% reporting. So that's pretty incredible and a pretty safe area that we are hoping to regain for ourselves there. What advice do you have for us, moving forward, closing out tonight?
Yeah, I think looking forward, we have made such huge gains as progressives here in Texas. All of a sudden, We have so many people that are voting for the first time, that have gotten their friends to vote for the first time, that can get behind a candidate like Beto O'Rourke. I don't think this is the last time we'll see Beto O'Rourke, but we need to keep this momentum. We need to move this forward to our next election and keep going and keep fighting for the values that Texans believe in, and really embody those values in our daily life too, and take those with us to work tomorrow, take those with us to school, and make sure that this isn't the end.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and that ties into what we do at Progress every day.
Yes.
And I think it's so important to remind people that we're not going anywhere. This live stream might end right now, but we're not going anywhere, and we are going to keep fighting for progressive values in this state. When we win, when we lose, when we draw, Progress Texas is always going to be there. So if you're feeling really upset, one thing you can do is, rage donate. Rage donating.
That's great. I always feel better. Yeah.
You've had a couple drinks, click, 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 progresstexas.org/donate. Feel a little bit better that you're helping the cause for tomorrow, even though today might not have worked out in all the ways that we wanted it to.
I think really clinging to, it has worked out in a lot of ways. It
we
really
have to
has.
focus on the wins tonight.
We do,
and
there
tomorrow.
have been so many wins.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard. The headlines are going to be about this Senate race, but we have to make sure that we're talking about all the progress that we have made this election cycle, because it wasn't supposed to happen.
No,
we wrote this story. Voters wrote this story tonight. New voters, young voters, people of color showing up for the very first time. We wrote this story together, and there is something that you cannot take away about that.
And all of a sudden, we're going to see a new crop of candidates, a better and more empowered, and candidates that you can believe in coming up next time that grow from this election, who say, you know what, that wasn't right what happened, and I'm going to run for office now. So I'm so excited to see what happens in the future. I want to thank everyone who placed their vote in that ballot box today and during early voting. You matter so much, and you cannot forget that.
And I want to thank all the candidates who ran up and down the ballot this evening. It is not easy to run for office in this state, especially statewide. And I think that these people put themselves and they put their families on the line. So thank you if you are a candidate that ran. Thank you if you knocked on doors this cycle, if you made phone calls. We are making progress in so many ways when you show up to make a difference. And that is the most important thing about tonight. Now I want to raise my glass one last time to Progress.
Here we go. I have a little bit of drink
just
left.
a little bit left, Tara. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
So much.
And thank you for tuning in. For Progress Texas, I'm Charlie Bonner. Thank you for watching.